Hey, this is DJ Jazzy Jeff, and you are checking out Crate Diggers. I think my collection started with my older brother. So I had a brother that played the bass for the Intruders. You know, we had soul bands rehearsing in the basement growing up. We had 78s around the house. So there was all kinds of vinyl when I was 3, 4 years old. And when I got about 6, 7, my older brother gave me the ability when he went to work to mess around with his stereo. So I would make my own tapes. But of course this was very much pre-hip-hop. So I was making tapes of George Duke and Mahavishnu Orchestra and Chick Corea and just things that he was into because I wasn't old enough to have my own music. My music was his music. The funny thing is I didn't tell my mom this until I got married, was that my entire time in high school, I never had lunch. And my mother gave me money every day for lunch. And I never ate lunch. I would take that money every day and store it for records. And after school, I would just hop on the subway and go downtown and, 3 records for 99 cents. And I just had a stack of 45s. Back then, Philly had, every street had a DJ or a rapper on it. But Philly was very much about the DJ and not really about the MC. And you knew of everybody, because you would do these parties and you see the names on the flyers. So I was very familiar with Will and the crew that he was with. And, and I had an MC and Will had another DJ. Ironically, someone asked me to do a house party on his block. And I couldn't, and it was last minute, I couldn't find the MC that I had, because this was pre-cell phone and pre-pager. So if he didn't answer the house phone, I wasn't going to get him. So I just went without an MC. So it was all these times of me seeing Will at the party and just, yo, what's up? This was the first time that we kind of got in a room together. And, I was in the party. He was just like, hey, where's Ice, who was my MC? And I was like, he didn't come. He was like, you mind if I get on the mic and rock? And it was a natural chemistry that I could tell that Will understood bar structure. He understood, and the same thing with me, that you kind of know if an MC is rhyming, that on the 4th bar is where he hits his punchline. So for me to get to that 4th bar and drop the music out so he can deliver the punchline and then scratch back in at the top of the bar made him feel good. Like, it was kind of like, wow, that was natural. How'd you know I was going to do that? But it was the same thing that, the way he would intro scratches, it wasn't over top of each other. He would kind of wait for me to get something set up, and he would be like, Jeff, check out Jeff on it. And I'm like, wow, how did he figure that out? And the night just went, it was so much chemistry that night, and we laughed and joked, and, he was just really silly, and I was really silly. We just had a good time. And I remember leaving, like, wow, that, I really don't want to go back to this other guy again. First of all, I never really classified myself as a collector. I'm more of a lover of, records and vinyl. And I never counted. I never was one of the guys that's like, I have this many records or this many. And I have maybe 10,000 records at my mom's house that I just won't let her get rid of. I have a bunch of records here. I have a humongous amount of records, in storage. And I kind of look at them almost now as my personal record store. That whenever I want a different vibe, whenever I'm, want to look for something new, give me a breath of fresh air, I can go in the back and climb over these boxes and open up something and see, and you're always finding something. You're always, oh, wow, I have this, let me pull this out. Well, I had so many records at my mom's house that there was a point in time that I wanted to get rid of some of my records, and I just took a whole bunch of records and I put them out in front on trash day, and it's funny because you can put records out. If I put records out, especially at my mom's house in West Philly, if I put them out at 12 o'clock at night for trash, and the trash man came at 8 o'clock in the morning, by 7 o'clock, all of those records are gone. And somebody had them, and as I got a little bit older and understood the value of the collection and just what it really meant, I vowed that I will never throw away a record, again. Whether I like it, whether it's scratched, it's just something about that it almost upset my stomach to realize that I did that one day, that I almost don't tell people that story. I'm one of those people that I've heard records that I wanted, that I hunted for and bought, and 3 months later dug in another pile and realized that I owned it for 10 years. I've been blessed to go on beat digging trips with Kenny Dope on one side and Jay Dilla on the other side. And, I especially remember going to Pittsburgh with Kenny and Dilla. We left about 1 o'clock, ended up getting to Pittsburgh about 6 in the morning and checked into a motel until the store opened. It was literally 1 million records in the store that when we walked into this place, we stood there for 10 minutes and everybody just looked around before anyone touched anything, because I don't think any of us has ever seen that many records. The bad thing about it was none of the records were more than $4. And you go to the cash register at 7:45 with a stack of records like this, and I'm sitting there like this, and the guy looks at the records and says, "Give me $150. And I'm like, if I'd have knew you were going to do that, I'd have bought more. We bought so many records that when they closed the store, we were sitting on a sidewalk. If we'd have put all of the records in the truck, we wouldn't have been able to fit. We drove 6 hours and had to pull over every hour just to stretch because we were uncomfortable, but there was no way that we were going to ship these records. There were no way that we weren't going to bring these records back from Pittsburgh. There's no real method to it. It's almost like I've always kept my records that I knew where they were. That, someone says, I'm looking for this Gang Starr record. And it's kind of like, okay, well, I think my Gang Starr record, if I go right down here, I remember that my full clip with the beat up cover is right here. But only I know that it's there. I've tried a couple of times to put them in BPM order and genre order, and it's just like, it doesn't work. All the way down to Bill Cosby, Why Is There Air? It's just one of the original comedy albums. And looking, I remember when everyone had these raw break records, that these were like one of the first records that they would have that would just have a beat to go all the way through. So I'm really glad that I kind of pulled this out because I don't have this converted, that I think I need to do that. Wow. This is a DJ Kool record that he put out, an independent single called The Music Ain't Loud Enough. This was 1988. This was when Kool was doing a lot of the go-go stuff. And I'm pretty sure that he would be really shocked that I have 2 pretty clean copies of his record. Wow. I am a humongous Brazilian fan. I love Brazilian music. I love Sergio Mendes. And this is probably when I went on a hunt. I know there's some people that you would just buy if you thought the cover was hot. And this was, one of those records that it was just kind of like, what? It's a jazz samba record. I love Brazilian samba music. This is Stan Getz, Stan Getz made some of the greatest samples, so let me just grab this and see what I can find. Sometimes you spend $35, $40 for a record that you're kind of like, didn't really have anything on it, and sometimes you spend $1 for the best record you've ever had in your life. So I think all DJs, I don't think you'll bump into a DJ who, if they collect records, I guarantee they have sneakers. And I'm pretty sure they have dials and gadgets and just little stuff like that. It's the makeup of a crate digger, a DJ, a record collector. It's what we do. And don't fight it. I fought it for a long time. Doing it this long, saying you're obsessed with it, is you coming to grips with it. You've always been obsessed with it. You just said you weren't. It's almost like, how you doing? My name is Jeffrey Townsend. I'm a crate digger. It's just accepting who you are, and this is what you do. Me collecting all these records and all the rest of this stuff is the reason why I'm here right now. So, I don't think I would change anything.